Well, how's it going, YouTube? Looks like today we will be changing the transmission filter and putting some new fluid in this 2002 Trailblazer 4.2. Alright, so the old Trailblazer now has about 139,000 miles. I bought it used and I've been driving it a couple of months now. It runs great, did a lot to it in previous videos, but now the transmission fluid is a little dirty and I really feel that it needs to be changed before winter, because this is going to be my winter driver. And I always find the best time to change your transmission fluid in any vehicle is right before winter. Alright, I'll give you a quick look here at the dipstick, and you can see there is the dipstick on the transmission fluid, and you can see how dirty it is. Look at that on my finger. Not terribly dirty, I've seen worse, but you certainly want to keep clean transmission fluid in your transmission, and also make sure the filter is not plugged up, because if you don't have very good flow in your filter going into your transmission, that can cause some issues down the road. So we'll go ahead and do this today. Alright, so here is the filter that I picked up at our local parts store, and this brand is something called CarQuest. And by the time I took my $5 coupon with me, which they always send you via email, I got this for like $16. Now, they make two types of pan gaskets, not gaskets, but two types of filters. They make one for the deep pan and one for the shallow pan. So you have to get underneath and look and see if you have the really thick pan or the shallow pan. And the thick pan filter is a little more, this, like I said, was $24 or $23 minus $5 coupon. And the other one, the thin pan, is only about $16, so it's really cheap. And there's the gasket. And you get this little grommet guy here that goes up here like that. So there is that. And also at Walmart I picked up 8 quarts or a gallon each of Dextron 3 transmission fluid. Trailblazer was filled with Dextron 3 at the factory. That is what is recommended until up in 2006. And after 2006 they went to something like Dextron 6, which is almost $9 a quart. So just be aware of that. And also, if you're confused, you don't know what type of fluid, transmission fluid, your Trailblazer should take, more than likely you probably have an owner's manual in your glove box falling apart like I have. And these things are full of valuable information. And you can see right here, the transmission fluid, automatic right there, it says Dextron 3 automatic transmission fluid. So you can always consult your owner's manual, but I find if you go online and try to find information, you always find a lot of conflicting information, because some people just spew out anything. But it's always good to go ahead and check your owner's manual first. I'm not saying you won't find some good information online. I'm just saying this here, these owner's manual, what's left of mine, is pretty much the gospel on most vehicles. Alright, so let me give you guys some tips here. I've got the front end up on some ramps, and I got the rear wheels blocked. If you're like me and you want to get this done before dark, and you're worried about the transmission cooling off in time, get you a big fan like I got here and just stick it up under there and blow it on that transmission, and that transmission will be cool enough to work on in about 45 minutes or so. You'll probably need some gloves, but it does speed up the process. So there's a tip for that. Okay, so after about, I don't know, 25 minutes, this pan's nice and cool, so that fan makes a difference. Now here are all the bolts that we have to take out. These are 13 millimeter bolts that we have to take out all around the pan here. And just so you know, there are 16 of those all the way around the pan. So I'll set the camera up on time lapse and you can watch me pull this off here. I'll probably have to get all these loose and eventually drop the front end of the pan down a little bit and let it slide out, because there is a bracket right here. You can see that along with the gear shifter. It's kind of in the way, but I think we can work around that. But the thing is, I've got the pan set up here to catch any fluid, and we'll see what we can do. So let's get this job started. Alright YouTube, there you go. You can see it's out. Now I find that it's easier to turn it sideways and drop it down like you just saw. Drop it from the passenger side down and it'll come right out. And that way you can take your bucket and catch your fluid. And there's the pan. And let's go ahead and drag this thing out. And there's the bottom of the filter and all that. So let's see what we got in the pan for some presents here if we have anything. Alright, let's see what we got. Get our fluid out. And it looks like there's probably a gallon here, and you can see this stuff is nasty. Look how dark that is. I'm glad we're changing this out. And here comes our pan. This is what we want to see. We want to see what's in this baby. Tells us what's going on in the transmission. So, there's the magnet. Let me dump the rest of this out here, what's left in here. Alright, so there's our little magnet. Pretty typical. The good thing here is, the most important thing is I don't see any metal. Absolutely no metal, no fine particles in there floating around, shiny stuff. So we are good. So all we have to do now is clean this up, put our gasket on there, and button everything back up, put the filter in, and we're going to be good. So I'm glad we're doing this now, and hopefully this video will help you out. Okay, now before we go putting in the filter and all that, you have a seal that sits around the filter. Let me show you real quick. It kind of sits on there like this, and the transmission, and that goes on it like that. It's like a little seal kind of a deal. If you can't get yours out of the transmission, if it's in good shape, just leave it, because you have to actually take something really sharp like a screwdriver and knock it out of there. And I'll show you real quick underneath. And right there it is. You got this big hole, and that's where that seal sits in there. So just do yourself a favor. If you can't get that out, if it doesn't come out with the oil filter, which it probably won't, just leave it in there if it's good. Now if yours is torn, you're going to have to take a small screwdriver and kind of knock that out of there and pull it out, just so you know. Alright, so we got our transmission filter back in. Now, you got to make sure you get this pushed up in there far enough, because that seal, that lip, has got to go up in there on that inside that transmission a little ways. Here you can see the old transmission filter. This has actually got to go up in this seal a little ways. This is the old seal that I tuck out. But you got to make sure you get this up in there, because if you don't, this will just keep falling out like this. You got to make sure you push it up there. Just kind of push on it and twist it and kind of tap it. You'll feel it go all the way up in there, just so you know, because you want to make sure this has a good, nice, tight seal so there's no leaks. Also, before I forget, I got about 8 quarts of transmission fluid, but you can see I got about 4 quarts here. I always buy a little extra. You can never get it all out, because the torque converter holds about 4 quarts itself. So it's better than you know, leaving it all dirty and everything. And here is the pan, all nice and clean. And what I like to do, I get a little bit of silicone and put on this gasket and put some weight on it. Let it sit for about a half hour. And when you lift this up in there to bolt it back onto the bottom of the transmission, you don't have to fight with this gasket. So let's go ahead and get this done and finish up. Alright kids, she's all done. $350 job. Did it all for about $50. So if you have a little know-how, you can certainly do these things and save yourself a lot of money. So all we got to do now is put some transmission fluid, check the level, and take it for a ride and see how she shifts. So let's do that and finish up. Alright, she's running. I've checked underneath. I have no leaks. And now we'll go ahead and check the level here. And it looks like it's just above full. And you can see the transmission fluid on my fingers now is nice and red, like it should be. Yeah, just a little above full, but that's fine. That looks a lot better. Heck, I don't know, maybe 6 months from now I'll change it out again and give it another fresh batch of fluid. So really all we have to do now is take it out for a ride and see how she shifts and wrap the video up. And thank you for sticking with me through the video. Alright YouTubers, it's shifting perfect. I'm going about 40 miles an hour and I'm cruising about 1400 RPM. It's already went into 4th gear. And I did go into 5th earlier. This is a 5-speed transmission in this Trailblazer, I do believe. Sometimes I get them confused with the Fords and Explorers and all that. But shifting really great. No problems now. I'm glad I did this transmission change and everything. And I'll probably do it again 6 months from now, just because I want to get the transmission as clean as possible, the fluid. You never can get it all the way, and I am not a big fan of transmission flushes. I think they do more harm than good. I think if you just do a simple filter and some transmission fluid, you're probably just as good. It's a lot cheaper, and if your vehicle is running the way it was before you did it, it should run exactly the same way after, right? That's my thinking anyway. So thanks for watching, guys. So I'm really happy. There is let's go up here and see if I can get her into 5th gear. There's 50 miles an hour, and there's 55, and there is 5th gear right there. So cruising right along, 50 miles an hour at 1700 RPM. Alright guys, until my next video, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.